Hello.
Hi, this is Kiran.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi. So I thought because yesterday I was facing the issue, so I thought I'll join today and if I can have some.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Hi, Jim. Okay, um, so, um,
Hey there. Sorry, I did not realize my mic was not working.
no worries, no worries. So how are you doing, everyone?
I'm doing okay.
Perfect. Early as usual for you.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, Kieran, you have something to have a look at? I heard that correctly.
yeah. So it's the Git pod and just I've just started. So meanwhile, you can go ahead. Like I can take the later on. We can talk about the issue if you have.
Okay, I can try to help you out with Gitpod because I honestly didn't ever use it that much, so we'll try to figure it out. Um, Jim, do you also have something to have a look at, maybe if you have time to, or?
Yeah, I have I have a couple things with running tests. I'm not understanding.
Hmm.
I literally don't understand how those tests are put together.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we can try to start with having a look at Gitpod if we can figure it out. Otherwise, my best suggestion is to probably ask Lee or someone else to have a to ask internally if there's someone that can help. Because as I said, I didn't really use Gitpod that much, so I will try.
So right now the Git pod is like setting up, and it takes time. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to ask, I tried earlier like attaching a debugger with my Git pod instance because I don't have a like enough memory in my laptop, so I have to do everything with Gitpod right now. So and
Okay.
I'm not able to like set up that debugger. So do you ever have like how do you debug the application if it is so large, and what is the that is my another question.
Okay. So while Gitpod is starting up, I can quickly show you how you can basically debug. Oh, so let me just have a quick look because there's some documentation that was written a while back. Uh,
Is it RDBG like setting up with VS Code or some other?
yes, that's yeah. I don't know if you had a look at the VS
Yeah,
Code.
I was trying that only, but somehow it was like not attaching. So yeah, but you can go ahead, tell me if like,
Yeah, so the VS Code debugging, I'm just going to share here on the Zoom chat the link to the documentation. I guess this is the one that you might have already had a look, but yeah, that's one way. Should work. As you saw, probably doesn't work all the times because yeah, it's not really the way that basically everyone at GitLab debugs. It's not used by many. So let me share my screen so that I can show you the other two ways. So yeah, this was the guide that I sent you. But essentially, you can debug. two sections of the code base, basically the backend and the front end. If you need to debug something on the backend, so in Ruby, the best way when the VS Code integration doesn't work, I usually do it like logs RB. Let's give you an example. Okay, let's. My GDK is working. Should be. I updated GDK just before starting the stream, so let's see if it works. In the meantime, yeah, what I was going to mention to debug is simply if you know, like to set a breakpoint, if the Visual Studio Code integration doesn't work, you obviously you cannot set breakpoints with the IDE like it's usually done. One thing that you can do, however, is to add a binding dot pry. Okay, and if GDK is working now, let's see. Okay. Not that one, it's GraphQL Explorer. I don't remember the path. Here we go. So, for example, setting binding.pry, you can then on the terminal do binding. It's been a while. If you do pry shell, okay. So after you added binding.pry on the basically where you would like to set a breakpoint, and you open a shell and do pry-shell to start the pry shell.
Okay.
If we then trigger that breakpoint, which we can do by do time log create and create input, we need to provide. Well, I think we can required true for time spent, for summary and issuable ID. Issuable ID. Issue. Spend 5 minutes. We're missing summary. Test. And we have timer and ID. So if we now try to run this GraphQL mutation, which is handled by this resolver, where we put the binding.pry, when we run this, the pry shell should pick it up. If we provide the right come on. That didn't, oh, maybe it's pry shell. Okay. So it's binding.pry shell, and now you have the breakpoint down here, and you can inspect variables, for example, the parsed times spent, and you can basically do whatever you would like to be able to do with an ID. The only downside is that you have to do it on the terminal. So this is one way to debug the backend code. If you instead need to debug front-end code, is actually much easier, because if we go again to super fast. My GDK today is really slow. We're almost there. Come on. Okay. Okay, so while this is loading, I know, for example, that we have these components, and we maybe want to debug what's happening when we click the save button. So time log create form. We have the submit somewhere in here. Register time spent. We can simply do debugger. And if we open the DevTools in here, we can trigger it, because we open the model, we try to log some time, we click save, and now the breakpoint is hit, and we can have a look at the code, at the variables, and we have the stack trace and stuff like that. So even in this case, we cannot really use the debugger provided by VS Code directly, but we can set breakpoints that we can then trigger when we have DevTools open, and we can have a look and inspect variables and stuff like in the browser directly. Okay, so this was basically the two main ways that I at least use to debug backend and front end code. Now feel free go on.
Yeah, so I need to debug the backend code, so I'll try binding.PyShell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just have a quick look. Yeah, try debugging. Uh, do, 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 do. Stepping, call stack navigation. Yeah, so this other documentation page explains basically how to use PyShell, and since it's a command line tool, it also has some examples on how to show variables. Well, that's easy. You type the variable name and hit enter. But this also explains how to step into a method called, or step out, or go to the next line and stuff like that. All commands that with an IDE it's much easier, because you do the usual F10, F12, and F11 and whatever. On the command line, it's slightly different because you need to manually tell it what to do. But yeah, this page also explains pretty much everything that's needed to debug the backend code. I'm also going to send this in the Zoom chat so that you can also have a look. So other questions related to debugging?
Yeah, it helped. Thank you. I'll check both the uh, documentation you sent me. Sorry,
No worries.
sorry for the noise. But
Don't worry. And are you free to, do you want to try and have a look at Gitpod, or would you like to move on, and if you need to do other things?
it is still working, so I think you can take the gym's issues. Then later on we can.
Okay. Uh, Jim, do you want to have a look at whatever you had?
Yes. So
Nice.
I start off with I am a complete noob at Ruby and still trying to learn bits and pieces.
Okay.
So if this is an elementary issue, please go easy on me.
Don't worry.
All right.
I'm a total noob on Ruby. Well, maybe not the noob, but it's also not a language that I use every day.
Okay. So what I am trying to do is trying to update the remaining emails from using plain text weird emails to
Mhm.
using like GitLab branded emails. Okay.
Mhm.
Mainly because when I receive them on my personal instance, I think they're spam.
Okay.
So in the past, I have been able to easily update most of the emails with from mail with locale, as you can see here, to
Okay.
email with layout.
Okay.
And then I typically go and go to uh, my actual test, and I throw it behaves like an email sent from GitLab, and it works fine. Okay.
Okay.
So when I'm running this test, I have been getting issues with um, where it says email with layout is undefined. Okay.
Okay.
So when the part that I've been able to, and I really wish I had my second monitor right now so I don't have to keep resizing that. So I took a look at where it's defined, right? So it's
Mhm.
defined in this notify.rb and app/mailers. Okay.
Okay.
I am in app mailers abuse report mailer.
Okay.
And so I think it has something to do with just where the scoping is of
Hmm.
where it is, because all the other ones have been in a folder below the scope, or so it should be able to mostly import. But taking a look at some of the other ones that are um, in the same folder, they're somehow getting uh, emails with layout, or in some cases they're just using this layout empty mailer and layout mailer. So it looks like they're using, like they're
Mm.
building an actual object for their um,
S-
email
Oh,
instead of just using that layout with email with layout. So
okay. Because let me have a look at my email with local, and that's defined. Was it email with, oh, layout, not local,
yeah, email with layout.
layout. Okay, and this is inside. Oh, application mailer notify. Okay. And instead you are, oh, okay. So yeah, I think that the other ones, do you have an example where you this worked?
Let me find one real quick.
Email with layout.
Yep, admin notifications.
But this is a module. So this
Is
is
that
included somewhere else.
okay? So that's the difference. Is it one's a module, one's not? Then
Uh, Probably because these are all modules. Now the question is, where are they included? Um,
I guess what's the difference between a module and a class? I thought they were the same thing.
Not really. I mean, you can import a module inside of a class, and basically you take whatever is inside of the module and now becomes part of the class. So
Okay.
you, for example, if you have a method that you can reuse on different classes, you can write a module with that method and its uh, definition, basically, and implementation. And wherever you need a class to have that method, simply import the module.
Okay.
Now, email with layout is defined in notify on the notify class. So what I think it's happening, auto DevOps, emails, auto DevOps.
Yeah, because all
Yeah,
that email with layout does is call mail with locale with special.
exactly. But
formats.
if you go at the beginning of this class, of the notify class, you find all those inclusions, and basically that's including the module where email with layout is used. Because when you write a module that, for example, uses another method, like this time, where the module is calling email with layout, someone has to define that method. In this case, the email with layout method is defined on the notify class. But if
So admin notification is defined right here. That's how it's included.
yeah,
Okay.
but and your abuse report mailer, that's the one failing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is email with layout. Is it private on the notify class? Let's see.
It doesn't say private in there.
No, and oh yeah, it's private because on line 74 you have a private. So basically everything declared below that is private.
Hold on, let me find that real quick. Oh,
Yep.
I just love Ruby's silly things like that.
Yeah, right. I totally feel your pain, and this is only the beginning. So either you copy and paste this email with layout method also on the abuse report mailer, but honestly speaking, at that point, it's probably worth just calling mail with locale like it's doing here, passing the layout.
So what is this do format doing?
So mail with locale. Let's have a look at that method. Okay, that's a Ruby thingy or Rails thingy. No, it's here. Okay. It's defined in application mailer.rb. Okay, you see the last parameter is block.
Yes.
Okay, that do thingy is providing this block parameter. It's
Okay.
kind of like a Lambda function. So you're passing to mail with locale the block that's going to be executed inside it of here, because you can see that block is passed then to mail.
Okay.
Let's see, this mail method is defined somewhere. This is probably coming from the base class.
Looks like it is inside of update
Receiver.
service.rb maybe. Oh
Uh,
no.
you have more than one, and this is neither of those is the correct one. And I can't see I'm pretty sure that method is a method coming from the action mailer base class. So from Rails itself.
Okay.
Pretty sure that basically you pass in a lambda to format the content of the mail, and that's being called after the locale has been decided and stuff like that. So yeah, basically it's like a lambda. For example, you can do the map function to apply a lambda to each element of an array. You basically have the same syntax where you provide the function to apply via that block defined with the do.
Okay. So then let's say that I just call that mail with locale.
Okay.
I should just be able to, because of Ruby magic, change this layout from empty mailer to be mailer, kind of like what they did for the email with layout, right?
I think so. Because if you have a look at notify class.
Because it's right here, it just uses a default layout of mailer, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So then if I change that, then I should get the correct email format. So then if I go to my test, I should be able to put this an email sent from GitLab in there, right?
Yeah. In theory, yes, unless that layout needs some other, I don't know, parameters of configuration arriving from other places of the notify class, but I don't really think so.
This is where I am the most shaky. I have no idea what this does right here. I know like what in theory it does. I just have no idea how it executes actually.
Okay, so if you search for an email sent from GitLab without the quotes, should be, yeah, keep going. Okay, the last one. Yeah. Basically, this is declaring a shared example. Basically, you provided a name, like an email sent from GitLab,
Okay.
and you write a test that you want to basically use more than once. And when and where you want to use it, you simply do it behaves like this name, and it basically copies. It's like copying this block and putting it there.
That sounds real efficient on a processing scale.
Uh, and like to dry the code, or
No, from a just how it would process all that code. Because it has search for that string in every single
oh yeah,
time.
oh well, I don't want to enter those kind of rabbit
Yeah.
holes because I don't know how it works.
All
But
right,
yeah.
so undefined local variable or method, GitLab sender display name.
Mm, mm. Try to have a look for that. Oh, okay. Yeah, because like the shared example, you can write it so that whenever you use it, you basically let you want to write a test knowing that this test needs an issue, for example.
Hmm.
Instead of having that issue coming in like a parameter, that's coming in like a variable declared where you call the shared example.
Okay.
So in here, they're declaring the GitLab sender display name because probably they also have an email sent from GitLab used somewhere here, which needs the GitLab display thingy.
Right, and since this was sending to a administrator instead of a individual, we technically don't have the GitLab email display name. Is that correct? Well, no, this would be the overall instance's display name, right?
Yes, I think you can pretty much copy this let over to the other test that you're changing.
Ah, I don't know what I just pressed. Control C. So I would put it up here.
Yeah, even beside the let report.
That would probably be a better place.
Yeah, and also I think you did Control X and on Control C.
Thank you.
No worries.
So then this should work, hopefully, in theory.
Unless we're missing other variables, but yeah.
Okay. Ruby Magic has interesting time with all these variables.
Yes, definitely. And like I mentioned, this is only the tip of the iceberg. One only failure. GitLab sender. Oh, I copy all those three variables from the other tests. I'm pretty sure that you need all of those. Oh, go back. I didn't see that. So it behaves like, and then they do the do and you can basically do the same thing because they're providing and declaring those variables to be used only inside of that test execution, basically.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? Is that an email sent from GitLab, which is what I'm defining right here, right?
Exactly. You can totally copy that block with the do and stuff like that and remove the lets that we added at the beginning.
So I copy this part right here?
No, from line 29 to 33. So they are doing, it behaves like this other test, and that's what you were already doing. And when running that test, they're also declaring the variables. So you can remove them from here, and you can actually take all those line from 15 to 20 to 19 and put that instead of where you only had it behaves like before.
So just save now?
No, do a couple of undo. Okay, replace line 25 now with the lines from 19 to 15, I guess. Oh, okay, perfect.
Like that, and then get rid of these.
Yes, exactly. Because this is basically calling the test like an email sent from GitLab. And when calling that test, it's executing the block from the do end. So when this test is executed, those three variables are declared.
Okay, so this is kind of like if I were to just call a method, basically passing parameters, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Now you should have it. Famous last words.
I'm kind of waiting for GDK to kill itself or something.
No, why so?
So I assume right now, based on how long it takes to spin up, it's spinning up a full, I don't want to say factory, but like a full like GitLab instance or something. Is that what it's doing?
Not really an instance, but at least a database and, well, maybe not even a full database. I don't really know how the setup for the test works, because I know that if you don't have the database service running from GDK, this test will basically not run because it will complain about not having a database connection.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I honestly don't really know how it's set up, but it's passing.
So then I just copy this to the other places that I made changes,
Yes,
and that
and
should work.
should
And
work. And
these are global variables, correct? That so I don't have to worry about them being differently scoped or anything, correct?
so the gitlab.config.glib email from or GitLab sender.
All this, those GitLab config dot
Okay,
GitLab email display name, GitLab email from, email reply to.
okay, those are variables coming from the GitLab installation. So our configuration values that on a GitLab instance, you would need to set up on the gitlab.rb config file for the whole instance. So
Okay.
this is basically reading the configured values for the GDK.
Okay, so this is if I were to go and edit my gitlab.rb file and then run that apply command, that's where those come from.
Yes, and I think that if you go and change the configuration for your GDK and then run this test, well, it should still work because the email template is probably also taking the values from the configuration file.
Okay.
Uh, but if you change, like here, instead of using the values from the configuration, you use a fixed value, like change to admin.gitlab.com and
Okay.
change the configuration value and the two values mismatch, the test should fail.
Okay, so if I were to hard code them and somebody updates it in the future, it would fail, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I guess the best way to do that is just leave it like this then. So,
Yes, because if they, for whatever reason, change the values, the configuration value for GDK or for the test, you would probably have a broken master or stuff like that.
okay. So in overall, what I need to do, change the layout from empty mailer to mailer, and then copy this code all over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Do I need to do anything with subject, do you think? Like that should handle translation automatically, right? Because mail with locale. So I don't need to do any of the S underscore stuff, right?
I don't know about the was reported for abuse because
Because if I
that
take a
portion.
look at def mail with locale, come
Mhm.
on. It says it does GitLab I internationalization with locale, but that's not the same as the S stuff, is it?
No. Mm. we can have a look at other places using the what was it? Email with
So they have this subject method that I don't know where it gets defined from.
but they do the
S underscore.
yeah. Yeah.
So how would I do that? Just like literally like this, but then I don't think that works 100%, right? Because that would translate the
Yeah, that
username before.
yeah, I think you need to do a string format. Uh, hmm. Let's see if we have some examples. So I'm looking at the Auto DevOps email, and they also have it parameterized because they're using the subject, but subject, where is that one defined? Hmm.
There's so in other languages, let me ask this question. I can normally uh, right click on the value and go
Go
there's
to
a go-to
definition.
definition. Is there one for this?
It is possible to set it up. It sometimes works for me, but maybe due to the project being that large, it sometimes fails.
Okay.
But I found that that subject method is defined in notify.rb.
And that's under the private, isn't it?
Yes. And the description for that method is formats arguments into a string suitable for use as an email subject. Uh,
But it's doing it looks like it's just doing a format on project.name, group.name, and namespace, right?
yeah,
So it
and that's
doesn't
typically
necessarily mean I need that because I don't have a project, a group, or namespace in my abuse report. It's instance wide.
yeah.
So I
Mhm.
should be able to skip subject then, right? In theory.
Yes, but I'm not entirely sure how to format the other portion because was reported for abuse, for example, would need to be translated. But
Where does subject from with sub? And the other issue that you have with that particular
hmm,
one is your when you have an abuse email, it's an email that's sent to one email or a list of emails, not necessarily users within GitLab.
yeah,
So you don't have a locale to go to them with. So English is really the only way, unless you add in a setting for abuse of what language to send it in, right?
maybe that was also the thinking on why they didn't translate it. I mean, to be completely honest, I would probably open the MR as is and ask the reviewer what they think about it. And if they want to translate it, if they have an idea on how to do it.
Now, if one of my other ones is this rate limiter, and I let me try opening it. Okay. So I change that from there to there.
Yeah.
Using subject, it has the project or group name automatically there.
Hmm.
And then it has notifications temporarily disabled.
Okay.
I assume I would just wrap this part, do like an
Yeah.
S.
Yeah, that would do it, because you only have the fixed string to translate.
So S, what is it? S underscore that.
And S underscore means that the text is scoped, so it needs the prefix with the pipe to so for example,
So I would need to look this up in the gitlab.pot file then.
well, not really, because it wasn't translated, so you probably won't find it, because
Okay.
if you don't want to scope it, I think you can just call the underscore without the S, and that's going to translate the string, but without a scope.
All right, so let me try to run just this mailer then. Just make sure I didn't break anything. No. Spec. Oh. I gotta find where the spec for this is.
Usually the spec file has the same name, so what I usually do is Control P and write rate limiter mailer spec. Oh. It usually works.
All right, so I have a preview. I don't have a spec.
Oh, but there is... Oh, no. Doesn't it have a spec?
I don't see one.
Nice.
So then I guess to make a spec for this, I just copy an existing spec and then try and adjust it to be similar.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to also provide the condition. Yeah. Yeah,
And
basically.
is there any place that I have to register a spec from, or does it automatically just pick up from the file?
No, that's going to pick it up from the file by itself.
Okay.
You just basically need to create the same structure. For example, if you have a look at the other folder, take, for example, invite mailer. Let's see if there's an invite mailer spec. Yes, we have one. Okay. You see on the browser on the left, there's the members folder, like you had the members folder for the actual invite mailer.
Yes.
Okay, so the rate limiter mailer was inside of namespaces.
Okay. So just essentially match the same.
Yeah, the same folder structure.
Okay. And then is there anything special in here that I have to do? Obviously, change that to be whatever my
Yeah,
notified.
yeah, pretty much. Invite mailer is quite big, however. I don't know if you need all of that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like
another example
most
is,
I should be able to get rid of.
yeah, for example, access denied mailer spec is way slimmer, like less than 70 lines.
Okay.
So yeah, just have a look at one that's already existing, and
Okay.
you should be able to figure it out.
copy pasta, and then be done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
Okay.
That was a lot more than I was expecting this morning. So thank you. I appreciate the help.
No worries at all. So okay for this.
I'm,
Yeah, go on.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Kieran,
Yeah, so it is working right now, and the pod I
it,
spin. Yeah, it
so
is
it-
working. Yeah.
okay,
So I
perfect.
think,
Because I'm basically out of time for today, so I'm glad it's working.
yeah, I'll do. I raised a PR and I'll do the changes, the review comments I got. If it doesn't work, I'll come again on Thursday because I seen there's one more. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
No worries.
Thank you for all the help. Yeah.
No worries. So with that said, let's call it a day because it's kind of getting late for me. So thank you for joining, and I will see you next time.
All right. Thank you very much, Marco.
No worries. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.